The Whittingham Hospital Railway, WHR, opened in 1889. It was owned and operated by Lancashire County Council. It connected to the Preston to Longridge line at Grimsargh but was run as an independent railway. The line was built to reduce the expensive costs of goods delivery by road to the mental hospital and provide visitors to Whittingham Hospital with direct rail access from Preston and beyond. The line had two stations, Grimsargh and Whittingham, and both were quite substantial considering it was only a 2-mile-long branch line. Once it was open, the railway carried mostly coal, but anything else that the hospital needed. Later in the railway's history, the track was extended from Whittingham Station through the hospital grounds to allow for coal to be delivered to a newly built boiler house and nearby storage area. After crossing Brabiner Lane and a long embankment, passengers arrived at Whittingham Station. It was a curved structure with one platform and a glass canopy roof that provided shelter for passengers. Access to and from the station was by steps down to a lane that lead to the nearby hospital buildings. The platform was supported by concrete blocks that can still be seen today. Little else remains of the station except part of a brick wall that was the rear wall of the station. Immediately after an engine left the station, it crossed a bridge and immediately entered the engine shed yard. There were several roads here, one of which continued out of the yard, through the hospital grounds to the boiler house and storage area. Leaving the station, this was the view as engines entered the yard. The engine shed was on the right and a carriage workshop was across from it. The engine shed and carriage workshop are still there to this day. However, the engine shed has had a new roof and the engine entrance closed off. For a time, the boiler of No. 1 James Friars was stored by the side of the engine shed, awaiting disposal. More information on this later. Beyond the engine shed, the line continued for half a mile through the hospital gardens to the boiler house and storage area. The heating for all the hospital buildings, and there were a lot, was produced at the boiler house. This section of track passed the ornamental pond and then the cricket pitch. There was a set of points near the cricket pitch. 2 large slabs of stone mark the location now. At these points, trains could either go to the boiler house or the storage area. The railway's first engine was an 040 saddle tank purchased new from Andrew Barclay and Sons. It was built in July 1888. It had 2 outside 13-inch by 20-inch cylinders and had 3-foot 7-inch wheels. Barclay No. 1 served the railway well, spending its whole working life on the Whittingham line from July 1888 to 1947, when it was scrapped. Barclay No. 2 was acquired new in October 1904. This too gave good service, till it was withdrawn in 1952 and scrapped. This engine was an 042 standard tank, with the same size cylinders as No. 1, but with 4 feet 1 inch driving wheels. The engine bought to replace Barclay No. 1 was an old William Stroud Class D1042 tank bought from the Southern Railway. It was built in 1886 for the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway and originally carried the name Riddlesdown. When it moved to the WHR, it became No. 1 and renamed James Friars, who was the chairman of the Hospital Management Committee. In 1956, No. 1 James Friars developed serious boiler problems. It was withdrawn and its boiler placed on wooden battens and placed outside the engine shed. In 1956, with James Friars showing its age, the WHR purchased a Sentinel steam shunter from Bolton Gas Works. And a good job they did, as James Friars suffered severe boiler problems and was withdrawn, leaving the Sentinel the only working engine. The Sentinel was built in 1947 for the Bolton Gas Works and was purchased by the WHR in 1956. It was a steam shunter with vertical boiler tubes. It was with the railway for less than 18 months and worked the line single-handedly for the last 12 months after James Friars was withdrawn. When the WHR closed in 1957, Gradwell was sold to the Tyne Tea Shipping Company and worked there till 1965. On Saturday, the 29th of June 1957, the railway closed. The last train was the 7:20 p.m. from Grimsargh to Whittingham.